Okay, I hereby call the March 18th, 2024 Planning Commission to order at 6 p.m. Madam Clerk, would you please do a recall? Oh, I'm sorry, a roll call. Wow, it's going to be a good night.
Yes. Commissioner Glenn,
I'm here.
Commissioner Allen,
Here.
Commissioner Cohn,
Here.
Commissioner Shane,
Here.
Commissioner McCabe,
Here.
Commissioner Fernandez,
Here.
Commissioner Scoggin.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Okay, are there any additions or changes to the agenda? All right, any objections to the agenda? Hearing and seeing none, agenda's approved. Commissioner Allen, would you please lead us in the pledge?
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, for the consent agenda, we have the regular meeting minutes for March 4th, 2024. And that is it. Are there any additions or changes to the consent agenda? Any objections to approving the consent agenda as written? Hearing and seeing none, consent agenda is approved. Okay. We'll go ahead to audience participation. At this time, members of the audience may speak regarding any topic that is not on the agenda for public hearing. If anyone on the phone wishes to speak, press *3. And I believe we have a sign-up sheet there, so if anybody does come up, please use the sign-up sheet. Is there anyone on the phone? Okay. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak? If you'd like to, if it's not on the agenda, you could come up. We just ask that you please state your full name and spell your last name and sign in, please. It's okay. I'm having a good time, so.
Did you sign one for one of the hearings that's tonight? Is that what you're coming to speak for? Then you'll wait for that hearing.
Thank you. We are here to help. Okay. So if there's no one else that would like to bring any topics up that's not on the agenda? All right, are there any objections to closing audience participation? Hearing and seeing none, audience participation is closed. Okay, so we will move to the public hearing, quasi-judicial matters. Resolution 24-02, a conditional use permit in accordance with MSB 17.60, conditional use for the operation of a marijuana cultivation facility known as the Connoisseur, located at 3160 West Top of the World Circle, tax ID number 828-0000, Lima 001 Alpha. Applicant, Matthew Chambers for the Connoisseur, LLC, staff, Mr. Rick Benedict is the current planner. Okay, stand by a second. I have to get my sheet. No, it's not here. That is it. Okay, sorry. Okay. For the commissioners, do you or any member of your immediate family have a substantial financial interest in any property affected by this decision, or will you recognize a foreseeable profit as a result of this decision? All have said no. Have you received or otherwise engaged in an ex parte contact with the applicant, appellant, other interested parties, or members of the public concerning the application either before, during, or after this matter was submitted for decision? All have said no. Are you able to be impartial on this decision? Yes. Okay. Then we can go ahead and move forward. And Mr. Benedict, would you like to proceed, please?
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, Madam Chair and Commissioners. My name is Rick Benedict. I'm a current planner with the Development Services Division. I'd like to provide the Commission with an overview of the proposed conditional use permit this evening. The staff report for PC Resolution 2402 can be found on page 9 of your packets. Matthew Chambers, on behalf of the Connoisseur, has submitted a conditional use permit application for the operation of a marijuana conditional use facility located at 3160 West Top of the World Circle. The proposed use will occupy a new structure of approximately 6,000 square feet, accessible from Top of the World Circle right-of-way via a borough permitted driveway. The Connoisseur had previously operated as a standard marijuana cultivation facility until an accidental explosion caused by construction activity at the site destroyed the operation in December of 2022. The operation has held a standard marijuana cultivation license since 2017, issued by the State of Alaska Marijuana Control Board. In 2018, the Planning Commission passed a resolution approving the Connoisseur's original cultivation facility, original conditional use permit to operate within the borough at the subject parcel. The cultivation facility operated in good standing until the conditional use permit became null and void upon the facility's destruction. The local fire marshal condemned the building, and the property owner voluntarily agreed to demolish the structure by this summer. The subject parcel is over 7 acres in size and is located south of and adjacent to Top of the World Circle, east of Fairview Loop. Construction of the new cultivation building was completed in 2023 on the north central portion of the property adjacent to the original building. Properties surrounding the parcel range in size from roughly an acre to 14 acres and are mostly used for residential purposes. However, several other commercial operations exist off Top of the World Circle. The new building is divided into 2 units. The Unit A, Unit B. Unit B will house a shared office space for both operations. All building areas licensed under the state-issued standard marijuana cultivation license are outside the required borough marijuana concentrate manufacturers to obtain a conditional use permit. Borough Codes directs public notice for conditional use permits. Notice was published in the Frontiersman newspaper and borough website and mailed to property owners within 600 feet of the subject property and to the Connect Fairview Community Council. 3 responses were received resulting from the public notice. Borough Code requires that granting a conditional use permit to marijuana cultivation facilities will not be harmful to public health, safety, convenience, and welfare. On January 31st, 2024, the local fire marshal with jurisdiction responded indicating the condemned building was too close to the new cultivation facility and needed to be demolished. The fire marshal acknowledged the applicant had agreed to remove the condemned building when environmental conditions allowed. On February 8th, 2024, a resident responded to public notice expressing concern regarding the explosion that destroyed the original cultivation facility on the subject parcel. According to the applicant, the explosion occurred during construction work that ignited a natural gas leak at the construction site on the subject parcel and was unrelated to the permitted use. The fire marshal with jurisdiction has approved the new facilities building review plan and issued a certificate of occupancy on November 20th, 2023. On March 1st, 2024, a resident responded to public notice expressing concerns of increased vehicular traffic on Top of the World Circle and its impact on public safety. Upon review by staff of the application and supporting documentation, an increase in vehicular traffic along Top of the World Circle is not expected because the operation will operate similarly to its original capacity and not be open to the public. In addition, the applicant obtained a borough-issued driveway permit in 2018 for the use, has posted speed limit signs along its driveway approach, and installed a gate at the property's entrance and entrance to control access. In light of the application material, staff site visit, and comments received from the public and outside agencies, borough staff recommends approval with conditions to operate a marijuana cultivation facility located at 3160 West Top of the World Circle. The draft resolution containing these recommendations can be found in the packet starting on page 208. That concludes my brief, and I welcome any questions the PC may have. The applicant is also in participation tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions for staff? You have a question?
Yeah, I have a quick question. I was trying to find the rules on setbacks, and I noticed that we're roughly 250 feet from a residential structure. What are our do you know what our setbacks are for marijuana cultivation facility near a residential area?
So code doesn't distinguish between residential area. Setbacks are determined from property lines, so to the building, the operation itself. So in this case, the state issued footprint, if you will, of the cultivation facility is one line, and the north, east, south, and west property lines are setback, where we determine the setback. So to answer your question, 50 feet right-of-way, and then 100 feet from any side, rear, side or rear lot line.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions of staff? Okay. Hearing and seeing no other questions of staff, I will at this time invite the applicant, Matthew Chambers, for the Connoisseur LLC, if they have anything to add or if they would like to present anything to the commission. Okay, for the record, they've declined. So at this time, we will open public hearing on Resolution 2402. If anyone on the phone wishes to speak, press *3. Is there anyone on the phone? Okay. And anyone in the audience, you can please come on up now. Actually, on the sign-in sheet, I have Allison. If you'd like to come on up, Allison, and please state your name and spell your last name for us.
My name is Allison Guckus Johnson, and you want me to spell it? Gutkesjohnson. Okay,
Perfect, thanks.
okay. So I have 3 minutes to speak?
Yes, you do.
Okay, let me begin. So my name is Allison Guckus Johnson. My husband is Adrian Johnson. We live 2 houses away from the proposed grow location. We frequently have family over with our small children that play outdoors, and we also have animals. I'm against this permit, and this is why. Allowing such a business in our neighborhood will have negative consequences and compromise the safety, tranquility, and the value of our home and our children. I have 4 concerns, including safety, irresponsibility, location, increased traffic, and the reduced property values. This is paramount to our safety, physical safety, and health of all residents, especially children, and other structural safety, so I will start with that. So number 1, our safety concerns. This is the same company that was previously granted a similar permit that blew up our neighborhood and causing structural damage to many homes, to include ours. I was home with the significant pressure change that was accompanied by a deafening boom that was heard and felt all the way from Palmer and as far north as Pittman. It leveled the building of the operation and nearly killed the worker inside. Our wall clock stopped working, the pilot light in our stove went out, my dried flowers disintegrated, our garage door went off its tracks, and the underside of our roof had permanent ripples, and from the shock waves, my couch has moved. My Christmas tree was knocked over, and my eardrums were nearly ruptured. If a child had been outside playing when that explosion occurred, they would have been harmed. Where's the training or licenses that qualifies this kind of business? We're going to have another explosion in our quiet neighborhood. This is the same company that asks you to give them another chance to get it right. I can't afford to let them practice. They still haven't made reparations for the last mistake on why on earth would we let them do it again. There are children in our neighborhood. There are group homes of foster children already in the state system, children from broken homes, from environments of families who cannot take care of them, or the irresponsibility due to drugs and alcohol abuse. Now we're inviting them to where they are trying to rebuild their lives and going to have to seek for a grow factory down the block for where they live. They will know what a pot grow can smell like. You cannot escape the smell. Every pot grow, even though they are technically compliant with the requirements of clean air, it does have a strong odor and pungent odor that radiates from it, especially around harvest time. And they say they're entrepreneurs and they have high school degrees from Anchorage. Not only is the odor unpleasant and awkward to explain to kids, but it proposes a real health risk for people like me who have asthma. In 2023, the CDC reported a fatal asthma attack in a worker with a cannabis grow operations in Massachusetts. The National Institute of Health also reports dust from many parts of the marijuana plant leaves buds and stems, as well as pollen and smoke. That concludes my time.
Okay, thank
right.
you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak? Okay. Hearing and seeing none, is there any objection to closing the public hearing? Public hearing is now closed. All right.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
So this is Alex Strawn, Planning Director. We usually allow 5 minutes for the applicant to respond to anything after testimony.
That's where I was headed
Okay,
next.
my apologies.
Nope, no problem. One more time, if you would like to respond to any of that, this is your opportunity.
I'm Chad Arntz, Aurentz, Matt's business partner. I'll just respond to the explosion and clear up some stuff on that. There was instantly on Facebook, we were reading stuff about meth lab, all kinds of bad things said. It was construction explosion, had nothing to do with our business or us in any way. It was the contractors who, well, we believe they closed off vents, which then ran the building out of oxygen, which put the flame out on a sure flame, still calling for heat from the thermostat. When the contractor came out on Sunday, I was on site when the explosion happened also. He opened the door to the building, allowing oxygen back in. He panicked because he smelled gas. He was running around trying to figure out how to shut the gas off. He left that door open, introducing oxygen. So as that upper explosive limit with natural gas, which I believe is like 15%, it was probably saturated to 70, 80%. As that's dropping and it reached 15%, that heater was still calling for heat, which means it had electricity to it and a spark. That is what set it off. The contractor was injured. Unfortunately, we do know that there was a lot of homes damaged, and we're very apologetic for that, but it had nothing to do with our business or the cultivation or any of that. It was the contractors that were building our new building. There wasn't even grow equipment or anything in it. The building was completely empty other than what the contractors had. So that's all I really have to say about clearing up anything about the explosion.
Okay, does anyone have any questions?
I have a question. Commissioner Shane, you said that your operations didn't have anything to do, they were, none of that stuff was in the building. I'm curious, you have to have certain ventilation and things like that, go through filters and everything to reduce the smell. Was any of that in that building there?
No, that building was in the final phases of sheetrock. They were mud and taping. So the building was completely empty other than one sure flame heater in the basement that was hooked up to N-Star's natural gas and shop lights and ladders.
Okay.
There was no equipment whatsoever in there. We hadn't even got flooring in or anything like that.
So we've got an explosion that happened from construction. New building is now constructed, but my understanding is you still have a building that needs to be demolished that's right next to it.
Yeah, we had, so what there was an existing grow that was in operation. We built an entirely new building on site that was going to be for manufacturing and concentrates. That was the building that exploded. With that explosion, it basically destroyed the structural integrity of the grow. So the grow had to be shut down completely too. And when we built the new building, it was going to be easier and faster for us to just build it together. So we rebuilt the building that exploded and then married a wall together. Even though they're two different locations, they do share a wall. So the new grow is in between the old grow and the building that was being built. So the old building that is damaged needs to be torn down, and we're gonna do that this summer. Just
see.
because this happened in winter, so it made it pretty much impossible for us to do it cleanly.
Okay. I'm curious as to what assurances you can offer that we're not going to have during the demolition something of the same sort happen.
There's no power or gas or anything to that building. The fire department disconnected it and shut all that down that evening. So that building is just now a shell,
It is a few feet from the existing building,
about
correct?
12 feet.
All right. No other questions?
Go ahead, Commissioner Allen.
This is Rick Allen. I wondered if you might address the concerns about traffic. Can you tell me how many employees you have on site at any given time?
Myself and Matt and one employee is all that works it. We will have about 10 people show up during harvest, which is 4 days a month about.
Okay. And in a typical day, how many hours, like is it like an 8 to 5 operation or
No,
hours?
it's a few hours a day usually.
Just they're tending to?
Yep.
Okay.
It's pretty low maintenance. Our systems are pretty integrated to pretty much just topping off water. It's
Okay.
really-
And then kind of related, can you tell me about what kind of security apparatus you have there in terms of cameras, gates, that kind of stuff?
We have a gate. We have cameras. I mean, you're required to have cameras on every square inch of the building, and you have to have 40 days of memory on every one of those cameras. That's required by the marijuana control board.
Okay. And the gate, is it a mechanically operated gate or can you
It
tell us
will
about-
be come summertime when we can have that power dug into it, because we did most of this through winter time. We have not got power to that gate, but it is a retractable gate that will have power to it at some point this summer.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, you mentioned that your hours are short every day, but your package is requesting 8 a.m. till midnight. Is that the times that you'll be working?
No, most of our times are, I live in Anchorage, and I'm usually the one on site. Matt handles a lot of our sales and stuff like that. And then we have one employee who lives in the valley who will be working with me on the grow. And that is, I drive from Anchorage, so I'm usually there by 9 and I'm never there after 5. We had it set up for the whole midnight thing, I think initially, in our packet, because we had a partner at that time that was still involved in the business. He lived close to the grow, and he kind of worked random hours because he had a schedule with kids hockey and all kinds of other stuff going on in his life. But we're pretty much between the hours of 9 to 5.
Okay, and my other question would be, how many commercial vehicles typically in a month would travel that road from your
Commercial
company?
vehicles,
For your company?
it would be personal vehicles and be the 3 of us,
How does your supplies move?
personal vehicles. We don't have there's no commercial vehicles, and there are no deliveries made or anything like that. Anything that we get shipped in, like nutrients, that would be the only thing that's large, that's on a pallet. It doesn't get delivered to us. It comes in Span, Alaska. I pick it up at their warehouse and drive it out myself.
Okay, so there wouldn't be, give me an estimate on traffic.
Probably got 2 vehicles per day going in and out of there. And for, like I said, once a month, once every 6 weeks, we have a harvest, and there'll be, 10 subcontractors coming in to trim on those days. And we work 9 to 5.
Do you have enough parking for all of them?
Yeah, we're on 7 acres.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions?
Commissioner Shane, again, you said 10 employees?
They're subcontracted trimmers, but we're gonna, to make it more profitable for us and more efficient, we'll be installing a mechanical trimmer eventually, probably this summer, and that'll reduce that to probably 3 people working instead of 10.
Not trying to grill you, it's just if I remember correctly, in here it said somewhere around 7 employees, but, or subcontractors. So just some clarification. Thank you.
Yeah, and to clarify that, there'll be we'll probably eventually hire a salesperson, but they're not going to be on site very often. The day-to-day is just 2 people.
I have one more question for you. In the packet, it explained that the unusable, says the operation will render all products unusable by grinding them with a mulcher and mixing them with equal amounts of organic products such as soil or horse manure. How much material is that?
It's going to be a wet weight when it's going to be the stalks of the plant is all that gets thrown away. All the leaf matter that goes and is saved, and that's used for manufacturing. It's either sold to someone who's doing manufacturing, or when we are doing manufacturing, we'll be using it ourselves. So it's just the stalks of the plant that's left over. It's maybe wet weight on a trim camp, 10 pounds. And then when that dries out, it's probably 3 pounds.
And then you mix it with organic matter,
That gets ground up and then mixed into soils and spread.
and it's spread on the property.
Yep.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Benedict, do you have anything else to add?
I don't believe so, ma'am. No. No. I will just say that AMCO, as far as the filtration and the odors that were mentioned in public comment, AMCO has requirements for that, and they have proposed filtration systems in the application. So.
Okay. Okay, at this time, I'll entertain a motion for the resolution 24-02.
This is Commissioner Allen. I'll move resolution 24-02.
Is there a second?
Yeah, he's anxious to speak to you if he could.
Address the concerns of the operations. Is it too late for that?
We're right in the middle of a motion at this time. I will go ahead and grant it. Come on up and tell us what you'd like us to know.
Matthew Chambers. I'm also co-owner of Connoisseur Cultivation and the Connoisseur Lounge Dispensary here in downtown
Can
Palmer.
you walk next to the mic? Okay,
Matthew Chambers, sorry.
thank you.
I guess to address some of the concerns of safety and neighboring and the kids in the neighborhood, we've been in operation since 2017, and I think we have a track record that kind of states that we have been void of any notice of violations from AMCO. We've paid our taxes. We've had zero effect on the neighborhood up to this point. We do maintain the roads. We are on our roads are fairly small, and they get tight in the wintertime because they're not maintained by borough, because they're what are they called? What's the road? It's not farm. No. The road, we maintain the roads for our neighbors. We've granted access to both the structure that's 200 feet from our house was actually our rental that we sold to them 3 months prior to our unfortunate event. But we've maintained good standings with all of our close neighbors, and when we've gotten people unstuck, we're a good neighbor. We're not here to make any issues with the surrounding. I mean, I own 14 acres along with the 7 acres that we're on, and we've been there since 2015 and hadn't had any issues. And we do monitor our cameras. I mean, nobody wants to break into a grow. There's more cameras than here. I've got a 40 terabyte system that houses all of our mainframe. You know, there was no violation. You know, we got a clean from OSHA. There was no violations on behalf of Green Door Group, who owns the asset, and the Connoisseur, which was the tenant. We did everything we possibly could to clean up the space in a timely fashion. Obviously, it blew up December 8th. It snowed 3 feet that over the next couple of days, and there was debris everywhere. And we maintained it and kept it clean. And before we started building, we went around and spent a week with us and family members and cleaned all the debris around our because it's a 7-acre blast zone. We were pulling doors from our field and sheetrock insulation, and we're not trying to adversely affect the neighborhood. And honestly, we've built a fabulous building. If anything, we've added value to the neighborhood with this new structure from the 1940 pole barn that we initially were cultivating out of. We thought we were doing pretty good in that. This building is fantastic. It's aesthetically pleasing. It's a modern design. It's automated. It meets all international building codes with fire alarm systems, lighting. I mean, we've met all the standards, and we didn't even have to be with an existing structure. We didn't have the same codes implied on us because we weren't IBC, you know, it wasn't new construction, so we didn't have to meet international building code. It's a 1940s pole barn that we retrofitted. It didn't have exit signs. It didn't have, I mean, we had a fire alarm and security, but this building is so much better. And we can monitor it from afar. We have automated gates going in. I mean, we have a track record. I think that any of the neighbors could understand to a degree that we aren't here to, we live here. I'm not trying to affect anybody bad. So that's it for me.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Mr. Allen, are you still interested in your motion?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right. Open for discussions. Is there any discussion? Okay. No discussion? Are there any amendments? Okay, I believe on the resolution, it has the times till midnight. I would like that changed. I would like that amended. I'll have to find it. It's the last page, number 5 of section, oh, it's just the last section. From 8 to 5, is that correct?
8 a.m. to 12 a.m. is
That's
the
what's
proposed.
written,
That was what was proposed.
correct?
Yes, ma'am.
We were told that that wasn't actually the case. So I'm going to offer an amendment that we change that as per our testimony that we have heard to 8 to 5. Okay, thank you.
Have that allowance to be able to go to our property. We're not, I mean, we're going there from 8 to 8.
Okay, I'm sorry, at this time, we are in discussions. Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm just looking out for the neighborhood and trying to keep traffic at what it's going to actually be, so I have concerns on that. So I do offer an amendment to that. And we will vote, we can vote on the amendment and then go from there. Is there any objection to the amendment?
So the amendment is from 8 AM to 5 PM.
Correct.
Nope.
Anybody else?
I feel like 8 AM to 8 PM seems reasonable. I mean, this is, the number of people we're talking about on a typical day is less than I have at my house. So I don't think that that's, I don't think that's unreasonable, to be able to go till 8 PM. And it's also not a regular office building, so I can see why people would pop in for a couple hours after a normal business day, that kind of thing. And I just think, I don't really see the harm in giving them a little bit of flexibility there.
I would support Commissioner Allen on this, Commissioner Fernandez.
Okay, Commissioner Shane, did you have something you want to say?
Yeah, Commissioner Shane, I was, I'm basically just echoing what Rick, Commissioner Allen said. I do think potentially some leeway there as long as we're not getting into late hours of the night. I can understand for a business needing
Okay.
that leeway.
Okay, so changing the amendment from 8 to 5 to 8 to 9. Is that correct?
I had said 8 to 8.
8 to 8.
8 to 8 is a
sorry.
good round number, it seems to me.
8 to 8.
Well,
So is that a secondary amendment?
That would be a secondary amendment.
Okay.
So are there any objections to the secondary amendment?
Can I just kind
Yes.
of, okay, so, I'm just thinking about, and I haven't reviewed this, I'm just thinking about this now, thinking about enforcement of this. I mean, the fact of the matter is that a grow operation is actually always going 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because you have plants growing in there. So to say hours of operation is limited to a certain time, I don't know how that's feasible. I think by their nature, they are a 24-hour day operation.
I was kind of surprised it was in the
yeah.
packet the way it was written.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to, I guess my opinion is that number 5 probably should be stricken or at least modified to say that employees can only enter. But the thing is, like, if you have plants that's getting too hot, you get an alarm or whatever, they might have to go there at 2 a.m. to go address whatever issue comes up. So just things to think about. They're growing plants. It's like having a greenhouse or a professional,
This Commissioner Allen, I mean, what if we said something, had some language in there that says something like harvesting activity can only take place between, because that's when they have more
The
people
most-
there. Frankly, if it's 2 guys there, it really, I don't care when they're there. That's not going to impact the traffic flow in the neighborhood or anything. But if you have, 10 people, that could matter. So maybe we just insert some language about harvesting time, something like that.
So that's another amendment to the amendment to the amendment. But I like your
So-
idea.
So Robert's Rules of Order, we're gonna have to follow here. So
Yes.
we have a primary amendment and a secondary amendment. So you'll have to address those before you can go do a whole. another-
Okay.
So-
All right, so currently the secondary amendment is changing the hours of operation from 8 AM to 8 PM. Okay, so let's deal with that one first and then we can move on. Are there any objections to that?
From 8 AM to 8 PM.
Correct.
I would like to object on the fact that I believe we need to have some discussion, it sounds like, before we move forward with amendments, so.
Okay, so then we need, to, since there's an objection, we will need to vote on that amendment. So at this time, what you are voting on is yes or no to 8 AM to 8 PM for the amendment. Okay? So go ahead and vote now. Are they on?
Oh, we're doing electronic.
Okay. And it failed. Go ahead.
The motion fails 4-3.
Okay, so now we can go on to the new amendment, if somebody wanted to mention or to make a motion for a new amendment. Is that correct, Alex? because we still have the primary that we haven't dealt with yet. And if somebody wanted to amend the primary at this time, they can.
So I think right now you have this changed. It's just the hours of operation shall not exceed 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days a week. And
That just failed.
and that just failed. So it goes back to how it was.
Correct.
Yep. Oh, to 5 p.m. That's where we're at right now.
Did we miss opportunity, sorry, Commissioner Shane, did we miss opportunity for further discussion then? Are we?
For
just
the
at
8 to
amendment?
8, we did. Yes, we had to vote on that. So now we are on, it went to 5?
8 a.m. to
Okay,
5
so now
p.m.
we're on the 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And yeah, is there any objection to that?
Yeah, this is Commissioner Allen, I'll object to that.
Thank you. Okay, so now we can vote on the 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And then we get from there back to the original, okay? Okay,
Oh, I'm sorry. It was, so the motion fails with Commissioner Scoggin in support.
okay, so now we are back to the original. All right, so are there any amendments?
Yes, this is Commissioner Allen. I'd like to
Okay.
propose an amendment. So the language would be, the hours of operation for harvesting activities shall not exceed 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Okay. Is there any discussion on the amendment?
So we're not gonna limit hours of operation in general, 24 hours. They can come and go if they have problems and take care of business, right? That's what we're looking at. I just wanted, so we don't do this all night.
Yes, sir.
Thank
That,
you.
that's what I had in mind is if,
There be
you know, as Alex mentioned, you know, if there's a fire alarm or some
Something they can
sign-
go and
sort of
check it,
situation, they need to come down and take care of the property, they'd be allowed to do that.
I would think that regardless of hours of operation, you should be able to go if you have an alarm.
Yeah,
So I think this is better, yeah, not trying to limit it. Yeah.
okay. Is there any objection to the amendment? Amendment passes. Okay. Is there any other discussion?
Commissioner Shane, I am curious, so we're offering them the chance to continue or to start business again. And the contingencies though are that other building is going to be removed by as soon as weather allows. Is that correct?
Yes.
That is correct. The reason what it's been explained in the application is the delay is due to snow loads and, weather conditions. The fire marshal has, with jurisdiction, has allowed for it to remain until the weather permits.
Okay.
Okay. Is there any other questions? Any more discussion? Okay. I understand that we have received some other public comments as well. So at this time, if there's, we'll move forward if there's no other discussion. All right, is there any objection? Okay, then no objection, then the motion passes. All right. We go to next public hearing, Resolution 24-05. And Mr. Strawn, would you, not yet, let me read it, sorry. Resolution 24-05, a resolution recommending approval of an ordinance amending MSB 8.40 regarding transfers of alcoholic beverage licenses from the borough into the cities. Staff Alex Strawn, Planning and Land Use Director. Mr. Strawn, would you like to proceed?
Yes, Madam Chair. So this is an ordinance that was written by our law office at the request of Assemblymember Yunt. What it does is it changes 8.40 of Borough Code, which regulates liquor licenses within the borough. And there's a couple of different things that 8.40 does. One is it gives the ability for the borough to review new licenses as well as renewals. And if we have a checklist that we go through and we make sure they paid their taxes, we make sure that they're complying with our borough rules. And then if they're not, then we will protest the license until they remedy that. There's also a portion of the code that allows for transfer of liquor licenses from outside the cities to within the cities. And this is something that is allowed by state law. And in 2007, state law changed to allow 3 liquor licenses to move within each of the cities. But Borough Code only allows for 1 per decade, essentially. So this would sort of closer reflect what is allowed in state law to allow 3 licenses to be transferred from outside the cities to within the cities per decade. It also it removes the ability for members of the public to protest or to sort of lodge a complaint about a license to the assembly, and makes it more appropriately directed either to the Planning Commission, which has a say in conditional use matters of conditional use permits, or to the Alcohol Beverage Control Board, which has the ultimate authority to revoke licenses and things like that. After you guys make a decision on this, it will be going to the assembly. It's been referred to you, we support this change in the planning department.
Okay. Is there any questions?
Yeah, Commissioner Glenn, how many liquor licenses are there in the Matsu Borough, including in the cities?
So I do not know it off the top of my head. I asked Rick to stay because he's sort of a subject matter expert here. Do you have any idea of that, Rick?
Do you mean beverage dispensary licenses
Yeah,
or
correct.
any?
Well,
Okay.
how about each package and dispensary licenses?
Okay, package store, I do not know.
Okay.
Beverage dispensaries, full service bars, roughly 33 in the outlying, cities and outlying areas, roughly 33.
So out of Wasilla, Houston, and Palmer, 33 outside of those.
I'm not including Houston in that. And Houston is exempt from our code. The city of Houston is exempt from our code.
Okay.
Yeah. So the cities are exempt from 8.40, what we're discussing tonight.
So essentially, we're going to be able to take 3 liquor licenses that are dispensary licenses from the borough and drag those into the city,
So
inside city limits.
So the other thing this does is it opens it up to all different types of licenses. So we have just done beverage dispensaries. We've allowed 1 beverage dispensary to transfer from outside to inside. This would allow all types. So you could have brewery licenses or whatever type it is, even ones that we don't regulate. It would allow for the transfer from outside the cities to inside the cities.
And tell us the numbers again. How many?
So
How many? How
could
many will
transfer
be able
from
to be
outside
transferred,
to
say
inside.
tomorrow, if we did this, how many would
Yeah.
be able to be transferred into the cities?
So 3 per city per decade. So potentially 9 per decade.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Commissioner Glenn? I'm sorry, Commissioner Allen?
Commissioner Allen, I'm sorry if I missed it in the packet, but do we have any communication from the city of Wasilla or the city of Palmer about how they feel about this?
I have not received any communication from the cities. I imagine, well, I don't know how they feel about it. Have we?
I've had phone conversations with a representative at the city, and my belief is they would support the states. The state has already put this as law, and my understanding is the city approves it, and they have recently adopted a relocation from of a beverage dispensary into the city from the borough. That will be proposed tomorrow at the assembly meeting.
Great, thank you.
And can I just?
Yes.
Okay, Alex Strawn, Planning Director. So the relocation would need to be approved by the assembly as well as the city that it's going into. So they will have their own like conditional use permit process that they'd have to go through as part of this as well. So if they didn't want a liquor license coming in at a particular place, they could deny that or add conditions or whatever.
Commissioner Glenn, I think this is a good thing. I think it's hampering any name brand hotels building inside either city, and I've heard this over and over again. So, and we are desperate for hotels, so I think this is a good move.
Okay, any other questions? Go ahead.
Commissioner Shane, yeah, my understanding, this puts us in line with what the state is requiring, right? So we're not sitting here like saying, oh, yeah, you could do that somewhere else in the state, but you can't do that here. So I think I would have to agree. I think this is exactly the path that we, need to be pursuing these types of opportunities. So I am excited about this piece.
Okay,
I have one question.
go ahead.
Commissioner McCabe, would this give us a Costco?
It's Alex Strawn, Planning Director. I hope so.
Time to vote, everybody. No. No, very good. Okay, so at this time, I'll entertain a motion for resolution 24-05.
I'll make a motion to move 24-05.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. All right. We've already kind of had the discussion. So is there any more discussion? Okay, none. Are there any amendments? All right, no discussion. Are there any objections? Hearing and seeing none, resolution 24-05 is passed. Okay. Next thing that we have is new business. The Susitna Basin Recreation River Advisory Board. There is a seat from the Planning Commission for that state board. We currently have Commissioner Scoggins on the board, but he has asked to step down and give somebody else the opportunity for this board. So somebody that would love to jump on this opportunity can make that known now. And don't everybody jump too fast. But we do have to have somebody on the seat. And I'll wait. Because we have to think about it. Does anybody even know what the board is? Nobody knows? Commissioner Scoggins, would you tell us what the board's about?
There's certain rivers in the valley that have this designation, and they're just trying to help protect and regulate them. It's, for me, it's just really a tough one. It's at 10 to noon. And it's during the week. I can't do that with my small business that I try to run and everything else I try to juggle. So it's just, I'm not effective in this board. So, and they don't meet necessarily in the summer, but they just kind of meet randomly once a month through the winter. It's just one thing I can't take care of right now.
Okay.
Through the chair, out of curiosity, are all commission members currently on boards that have required seats for commission members, or is there somebody who does not have has not had the pleasure yet?
That's a good question. Okay, well, I am currently on a board. Who else is on a board? You're on steering committee,
I'm on the school location building
okay?
committee.
Well,
Commissioner Shane, through the chair, how often does this advisory committee meet?
This one, they're about once a month, and then I suspect they'll shut down June, July, and August. That's what they did last year. It's just it's that 10 to noon commitment that I'm not sure what everybody does during then. But if you have a job, it's a pretty tough one to deal with.
okay. Is there anyone that would like to offer an idea of what to do with this? I would be willing to hold off until next meeting to make a call on it, if that would be okay, if you guys would like to check into it, but we do need somebody on this board. So, does that sound acceptable? You guys are so quiet tonight. Commissioner McCabe, did you have something you wanted to say? Oh. I don't know if it's fish or if it's the waterways or both or.
It's really not a lot about fish. They have people from mining, timber, all the different industries they have representatives, but it's yeah, it's just, yeah. Yeah, it's all remotely. It's a remote. They never meet on, I've never seen anybody that's on this board before. There you go.
Okay, put it in the record, Commissioner McCabe is going to consider it. And maybe have an answer for us at our next meeting. Okay. All right, that sounds good. Okay, the other thing that's in our new business is I have requested a special meeting to help us understand the conditional use permit process. There is, personally, I have a very difficult time having things come to us that are already built and nearly functioning, just waiting for a stamp for us to make a decision. And I would really like to know what that process looks like and how we can fix it, because it would be pretty detrimental to people if we said no on items that are already up and running. But we need to have that opportunity to say no before they put all their money into it. So we would like to have some training in that area. So I've asked for the commission to have a special meeting. I hope that you are all in agreement with that. Hopefully we can keep it short and sweet and get some information out of it. So we need a date. Carol, do you have an idea on dates?
Well, we can look at either doing it just before one of your regular meetings, or we can schedule a special time and date. I was looking, if we did it before one of your regular meetings, we'd start it at 4, ended at 5:30, have sandwiches or something for a dinner break, and then go into our first, our meeting. Or we can look at May 7th or May 20th. Just trying to look at what dates were available for the assembly chambers.
What date is our next meeting? May 20?
Right, so you do it at 4 o'clock on that day. Our next meeting is April's. You got your calendar out?
April 15th.
Yes.
Okay,
I don't think we'd have time to get stuff together for that, though.
okay. Nope, hold on. That's the next meeting. So you think by May 6th?
May 6th. We
Is
can shoot for there, yep.
Is there any objection to holding it before our meeting? And that way it's all on the same day? Do you all
Commissioner
agree?
Shane, I'd say, yeah, the sooner the better. So if we can get it by May 6th and give the planning department enough time to gather all the information they need, that works good for me.
Okay,
Correct.
on the 6th of May. No objections? Okay, lock it down. Okay. To commission business, upcoming planning commission agenda items. Alex, do you have anything to go over?
Yeah, so I'd be happy to answer any questions you have about upcoming agenda items. I guess I will say, if you haven't heard, our planning services manager, Kim Solian, has taken another job, as well as our senior planner, Kelsey Anderson, also has taken a different job with a different organization. Very much wish them well, but it is a big loss to our department and definitely affects some upcoming items that we have coming to this board, including the corridor studies project and the comprehensive plan, everything involving transit and MPO, and you know, that division does quite a bit, and we just lost some big pillars of that division. So we're going to work through all of it. We're going to have to really prioritize what has to be done now and what can wait until we have somebody new in there and get them trained up. But just realize that did occur, and that'll affect the timeline on things going forward.
Okay. Okay, we are down to comments. So why don't we start down with Commissioner Glenn and we'll work to the left.
Good to see everybody. I appreciate all of you. Everybody's here, I think, so have a good week.
Commissioner McCabe?
Ditto what Commissioner Glenn said. Good to see everybody. Glad to see Fernandez back at the seat. Everybody have a good month.
Commissioner Scoggins?
Well, I can't ditto what Dave or Dave said. No, no, this is always one tonight, it's hard to understand, like these facilities, and it doesn't, the explosion part of it, it doesn't have anything to do with the grow facility, but it's also, I feel for these people that the grow facilities are going in and around the residential areas. And the explosion, I really, that could have been any building, right? It could have been a house under construction, I think. But I do feel bad for these people. I don't know if we monitor who's really actually monitoring the smell, if someone's even out there with the odor and stuff, but the grow guys, they've met all the requirements to do their projects.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I just want to remind everyone that discussion should have been reserved for the time of the conditional use permit discussion, and we're veering into discussing the quasi judicial matter.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess we ran into this, not just that one, but several of these, so these are concerns I have.
Okay. I'll skip me. We'll start on the other end and work our way back. We'll do it that way.
Commissioner Shane, these evenings are hard to typically end up with passions running high, and I can understand why. I will avoid jumping into anything that I shouldn't. So I will just end my comments with it's great to see everybody and have a good month.
Commissioner Allen?
So it was really a fantastic week in the Matsu Borough. I was fortunate enough to get to take a couple days off work and volunteered. My wife and I both put in a ton of time over the last week for the Arctic Winter Games, and our valley just came together and just was at its best. I mean, the organization was incredible. The logistics that were necessary to put on an event like this, so impressive. And then I'll just, really, when you live in a place like we live in, the weather just dictates our lives. It has so much of an impact, and the weather was just spectacular for the whole week. We had sunshine and the mountain was out, wind wasn't blowing, we had tons of snow, so the conditions for the sports was just perfect. And I was working up at the Ski Talk Ski Resort at one point and could hear these two different groups of Canadian coaches talking to each other, and they were like, man, what an amazing place this is. How cool would it be to live here? The quality of life must be unbelievable here. And I wanted to just tell them, like, oh yeah, it's always like this. Bluebird Day, tons of snow. It's always like this, guys. But it was just made my heart feel good to hear strangers who had never been here before and may never come here again. But they just had such a great impression, and they were so impressed by how friendly the locals were and how nice the facilities were. So just everybody in the valley, I think, can take a pat on the back for that. Thanks.
Nice. Commissioner Fernandez.
It's a pleasure to serve. Thank you.
Okay, Alex, would you like to give your comments?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would say that I also I kind of took most of the week off of work and got to work at the Arctic Winter Games. It was absolutely incredible. I got to be mayor of the different villages throughout the week, and so I got to know the coaches and athletes and the other volunteers, and I got to watch a little bit of the sporting events, but those who got to see behind the scenes got to see all of the chaos involved with organizing the events. But when I talked with the coaches, they just said this has been run incredibly, and we have no complaints. They all got transported around the borough and had places to sleep and food, and they were able to focus on their competition. So absolutely big time win for our community, and something we can be proud of.
Awesome. Thank you. Yep. It was, I unfortunately wasn't able to participate this past week, but everybody I've talked with said it was incredible, including all of the volunteers that work from 7 a.m. till midnight. So when your volunteers are saying that, working that hard, that's a good sign. So, and thank you all for being here. And sometimes maybe we need to look at some of our ordinances that we currently have that maybe we can make some suggestions to the assembly on. That is things that we can do as well. So as you look at those things that are disheartening, then maybe we can make some changes, and I am up for that. So those are my comments. Everybody have a good night, and meeting is adjourned at 7:10.